All right,
Man.
folks, sorry about that there as we're back with this racing, Brandon. This is getting wild here with 9 to go. It's going to be a 3-man race now.
Gavin Rogers, oh, a little bit loose from Coffee there. Again, into the wall hard, but he keeps it strong. Oh no, this might shake up everything.
And he's slow on the inside, and he's going to spin it out there, and that's going to bring out a yellow. Not yet, though. No yellow on the surface as he's just getting back going. A car going to pass him there, and the yellow is not going to come out. So Coffee here, this is huge mistake for him. And right now, Rogers, with that penalty, he's saying forget it, because guess what? I'm going to victory lane, hopefully.
It was almost shaken up yet again, and I was wondering when that was going to happen. Zach, Coffee had been driving his guts out, trying to stay away from the 77 with the pace advantage that he had with those tires, and unfortunately it was finally just too much.
Too much indeed. And Steven Stippian just got to be sitting there saying, man, why couldn't the 7 do that when he was in front of me? So I could have had that clean air advantage, because right now the 77, I think it's a foreseen conclusion unless we have a yellow. This 77, I think, has no doubt to hold back this 81, because he's just been on fire on these longer runs. And right now, the 77 has found the lead in the perfect time, got it within the last 10 laps, and he may go out here and get a Final Four sealing victory here and send him to Darlington with no words.
Yeah, I mean, that's the perfect statement to come back from a penalty and say, you know what, you can give me all the penalty points you want. I'm just going to come out and win the race and guarantee my spot in the next round. And he has driven a phenomenal race at this point to get himself in that exact position.
Phenomenal racing all around from the 77 of Rogers, the 81 of Stippian. Tough breaks for Alex Coffey. What a wild ending to tonight's race as we got 4 laps to go here. And if you want to check out some more excellent racing that we got coming up on June 10th, make sure you check out our Gamers Outreach 600. It's going to be our second charity event of the year, and it's going to be an excellent one. If you go and join our Discord, you'll be able to find the entry form to sign up with a $5 minimum donation to Gamers Outreach, and you won't want to miss out on that. 600 miles, Gen 4 Cup Series cars, and it's going to be a blast indeed with me and Sam Dyer up in the booth, Brandon Colley out on track, and multiple other contenders. So it's going to be a fun one. Make sure you tune in on June 10th, 6 p.m. Eastern for the Gamers Outreach 600.
Definitely excited for that race, Zach. Almost excited as I am to see all this racing here on the track. The handful that these guys are experiencing, a lot like what we're going to be experiencing for that 600-mile race. Definitely looking forward to it.
And right here, we're watching Gavin Rogers. The 77 started tonight with a drive-through penalty, 14 points deducted from his playoffs, but it doesn't matter. Freaky fast, white flag is in the air. 1 lap to go here at Dover. Rogers, after turmoil from last week, wrecking the 7 under caution, he comes back, and he's going to get a victory here at Dover, and one that's going to seal him here to get to the Final Four. Gavin Rogers, excellent night of driving from the 77 team, and he's going to put it in victory lane.
What a phenomenal race. I said it earlier, man. That is how you do it. That is how you rebound. And even on top of that, Zach, with the issues that Coffee had, that shakes up the playoffs even more, because Stympian finished second, being in second place going into this race. Coffee, I'm not even sure where he finished. He lost a lot of points on this poor finishing position just due to that one mistake.
That one mistake could come back to hurt him. I think the biggest thing for him is he did have about a 20-point gap back to the third place car. I think that's going to be huge, huge, huge for him in that machine, because it's good stage points with 2 second place finishes in the stage, getting 18 points there and getting that 12th place finish. It's going to hurt him, but I still think with the gap he had and the stage points he got, he should still be in a good condition heading into Darlington next week. But he would have loved to lock it up and get the win here, because right now, Gavin Rogers, he's going to line him up with a high-speed burnout and, just clipping the wall. I like that. You know, it's tough not to hit that wall here at Dover, and that was a good high-speed burnout.
And not everybody can be Jimmy Johnson.
That's very, very true. It's tough to emulate a 7-time champion, but this kid right here trying to emulate it by going 2 times back-to-back and getting that championship here at the Wicked Racing League. Gavin Rogers has been fun to watch, and it's been fun to call tonight's race. But while he burns it down, we're going to get ready for our post-race show. You won't miss a thing. We're going to be right back in the next few moments with our 4 drivers we're going to be talking to. All right, we are back here for the post-race show, and we got some 4 great drivers up here to have a conversation with them how their night went. The first one of them is the race winner, is defending the series champion, and the man that can say he's in the final 4. It's Gavin Rogers and the 77 machine. Hey, Gavin, it's Zach and Brandon up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, buddy, I tell you what, after the turmoil last week, getting the penalty coming into tonight's race, I don't think this thing could have played out any better for yourself getting that lead with under 10 to go and locking yourself into the final 4.
Oh man, it was awesome for sure. Definitely wouldn't take or definitely take this over a grand slam anytime coming back like that, especially with the drive through, man. That was insane. I still can't believe I did that. I'm never really that good on a long run, so that's what surprised me so much. So um thank God it was this race. We can race for a championship. I can focus on Kansas, which isn't my greatest track. But I think I can work well there because I'm pretty sure it drives somewhat similar to Charlotte. I know it's a little bit more of a higher lane track, I believe. But yeah, I feel like I could figure out, and this is a very exciting one.
Well, Gavin, we talked to you after Michigan. You were a bit bummed out that you couldn't get that autism awareness paint scheme into victory lane. You got it done tonight, And at Dover, of all places, as we know, Autism Awareness sponsored this race for the Cup Series for a long time. How are you feeling about that, man? I'm sure it is a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, it's definitely a really good one for me and my family. It's very emotional for sure. But yeah, this one's for my two brothers, Gage and Hudson. They both have autism. They're the greatest kids I know. My parents, the best parents uh, ever. Man, I don't know how they can do it. It's just this is for them for sure. This is a huge win.
It really is a great story there, Gavin, man. It's been an excellent night here at Dover, but take us through that last run because we saw you started sixth, you dropped all the way back to around the 11th position. I mean, how much management did you have to put into that? Because we seen there at the end, I mean, it was just lights out. You were so much quicker than our top two that it was almost inevitable at some point you were going to get around them.
Yeah, I definitely I had to break a habit there for sure. I usually man, I always tell myself to just stay back and save my tires for the long run. And usually whenever I'm racing with traffic, I always kind of blend in with them and I can never really get out of it. And that time I finally did let the guys go, really manage my tires and took it easy going by the guys in front of me, didn't push the issue. Yeah, it definitely helped a lot.
Well, Gavin, I tell you what, man, this is an important victory for you, locking yourself into that Final Four, like you said, heading into Kansas. Now you got to worry about nothing heading into Darlington next week, other than trying to go get that checkered flag, man. So before we let you get out here and go celebrate this thing, anybody want to send a shout out to?
Oh yeah. Want to shout out first off my teammates Mason and Jimmy. They did a great job this race coming from the back, as well as saving their tires. Again, a top 7 for the whole team today. I wish we had Gio and Bean and the rest of the guys, but fortunately they couldn't make it out. But also want to shout out to my parents, my brothers, my two karting teammates, Gio and David, my grandparents, co-workers, just my whole family, and you guys as well. You guys do great with the broadcast.
Well, thank you very much, Gavin, buddy. Congrats on the win. Congrats on getting to the Final Four and trying to go repeat for another championship.
Thank you.
All right, folks, that was your race winner here tonight for the Cowboy Jimmy 175 here at Dover. It was an excellent night of racing so far, but let's talk to that second place driver of Steven Stimpian after just coming up short after winning stage one here tonight, but still a great night for the 81 when it comes to points heading into Darlington next week. Hey, Steven, it's Zach and Brandon up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do, gentlemen.
Well, man, take us through that ending of the race, man, because, we saw you win the first stage. We got to talk to you, slid through that box, but it seemed like the track maybe went through changes throughout the night. But what kind of played out there? Because it did look like you had the speed there to get around the 7, just couldn't get it done.
Yeah, I fell into the trap. I fell into that trap that I usually don't get trapped in. I never really dig that much early on, side by side. Usually, I'll bait them for a little bit, but it's playoffs. It is what it is. I was just seeing what the tires were like on that second stage. I mean, I knew I was fast. I got around, started 7th, got up to 2nd within a couple of laps. So just just trying a couple things, see what it was like for the rest of the race. Pretty disappointed, but whatever.
Well, Stimp, all things considered, P2, great night for you. Got a lot of bonus points for the stages, with that stage 1 victory especially. We almost had a caution right there at the end with the mishap with Alex Coffey. Do you think if that caution would have come out, you might have been able to steal this one away?
Yeah, for sure. I think I had such short run pace, and I displayed that early on. In that race on that first stage, I think I would have been pretty good. But yeah, it's just I know you guys have talked about it before, how hard I gripped the steering wheel. Well, my hands hurt tonight. Let me tell you, I was that car was loose towards the end of that run, and it was a battle hanging on. Definitely sweating, and my hands hurt, but disappointed with P2. I just I love this track. I should have had a win, but congratulations to Gavin. He pulled that off out of nowhere. It's like Randy Orton RKO out of nowhere. I don't know what happened.
He definitely seemed to come out of nowhere, Stimp. But I tell you, this is still a good run here for you tonight. You came in second in the points with, a somewhat decent gap back to that cut line. You built that up even more with a first place and a fourth place finish in those stages, then a second place finish here tonight. I mean, heading into Darlington next week, I feel like that's one of your better tracks in previous history here on Freaky Fast. How do you feel heading into there?
I feel really good, just rebound from this race. You know, Darlington's one of my favorite tracks that's on this schedule, and Kansas is pretty up there for me too. So I'm looking forward to Darlington next week. I hope I can rebound, just lock myself in, and don't worry about points or anything. Just have a good solid run, and it's gonna be interesting the next 2 weeks, man. I just feel like it's pretty wide open between me, Coffee, and Gavin, and the rest of the guys up there above the cut line. But we'll see what happens.
That we will, man. It's going to be fun to watch the next 2 weeks play out as we get ready to crown a champion. But before we let you get out of here, Steven, anybody want to send a shout out to?
Yeah, you guys. Shout out to whoever watches it. Jamal, hope you guys enjoyed the battle that I had early on. And shout out to my pops. I know he'll be watching Jamal. He didn't even want me to tell him where I finish tonight, so I won't. But love you, babe. My beautiful wife, you guys, the league. I'll see you guys next week. Darlington, baby.
That we will, Steven. Congrats on second, man, and we'll catch you next week. All right, that was our second place driver there, folks. So Steven Stimpian. What a night for him, especially coming in second in points, getting a second place finish here. That bodes well heading into Darlington next week for him to try to make it to that Final Four at Kansas. But now we're going to move on to our third place driver there, Mason Hossman. What a night he had in the 78 machine with a great run for himself, coming in right below the cut line. This was huge for the 78 team. Hey, Mason, it's Zach and Brandon up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hi, guys. How's it going?
It is going great, buddy. Well, an excellent run for you tonight, especially starting back in the 17th position. You came in here tied on that cut line for position and points. How do you feel exiting Dover? Because you definitely gained on that line.
I feel great. Coming back to a podium finish after the win from Michigan is great. Yeah, kind of the momentum we needed to get myself above that cut line by, I think, a pretty good margin, because my stages were good compared to my other competitors, and my finish was great. I think we'll be good. I just have to do a nice, calm, clean race next week, and I think we should be good.
Well, Mason, you talked about having a nice, clean race next week to capitalize on the spectacular race from yourself here tonight at Dover. What is your game plan going into Darlington next week to try to solidify yourself into this Final Four?
Well, first of all, if I have to buy the track, I don't even have the track yet. But just put the practice in, put the work in, make sure I can set good times for qualifying. But also, I've heard it's a real pain in the butt for tire wear at Darlington. So I would say just put the work in for all that. Tire saving will be a must. Get the times that are good, so I can get good qualifying position, so I can get that clean air early, and stay out of incidents for sure, because I don't know, it just helps out not having incident points and enemies going to the championship 4.
That it really does, Mason. I mean, you talk about the tire management. How much tire management played in tonight? Because we've seen guys drop back and then really gain late in the runs.
Well, I think Gavin's a prime example of that. Cut back really hard on that third stage, and pretty much drove by me like I was sitting still, and I'm on the same setup as him. I was trying to run the same line as him. Obviously, he did it better, but I think Gavin's a prime example. Getting off the gas earlier than what you expect to do, and turning it in while you're out of the gas and braking just a little bit, just to keep it so your right front doesn't push up, was key to keep your right rear cool, because once you start getting tight, you put more input into the corners, which makes you get loose. But for me, it was pretty much the first stage was trying to get that track position, so my tires were a little bit worse. Second stage, I could lay back just a little bit more, and it was a prime example of how well I could tire save all day, because I kept it up in the third or fourth, one of the two. I'm not 100% sure. I'm tired, but yeah, that tire saving is a must around Dover.
It really looked to be that way, Mason. Well, man, I tell you what, congrats on the great run here tonight at Dover. But before we let you get out of here, anybody wants to send a shout out to?
I want to give a shout out to Gavin. Great win. Great to see him come back from that point deficit that he got from the penalty and win it, so he can get himself in the championship 4. I want to say great job to Jimmy. Jimmy did an absolutely great race, finishing in the top 10. I want to give a shout out to Stimpian because Stimpian's always a clean racer and races us clean every week and always raced me really clean today. And congrats on the second. I want to thank Adam, all the admins, especially Butta and TJ for stepping in for race control since Rev couldn't be there today. All these guys who put in the work at this league are amazing, and I don't think they get enough credit for what they do around here. And I want to give a shout out to you guys because, like I say, every time I'm in here, you guys are probably the best broadcast I've ever raced with, and if no one's watching you, they're a fool.
Well, Mason, we appreciate those kind words, my friend, and we'll see you next week at Darlington Raceway.
Perfect. Thank you, boys.
All right, folks, that was your third place man here tonight, Mason Halsman. Great points for him because he came in here tied on the cut line with Stephen Borbell, gained on him for majority of the night with the stage points and with the finish. So it's going to be an interesting standing shakeup when we see how it all plays up, especially with Gavin Rogers going from the bottom all the way to the top. So we'll get to see how that all is figured out heading into next week at Darlington. But we got one more driver to talk to. We got our man Blaine Wilson, the winner of stage number 2 and the 5th place finisher here tonight, as he's had an excellent run to get himself up in the top 5. Let's hear from Blaine Wilson with his run. Hey, Blaine, it's Zach and Brandon up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yep.
Well, man, after that stage 2 victory, only able to come back to that 5th position, but take us through your night because this was an excellent run from the 18 team.
Yeah, going into stage 3, we went on the same strategy, but even backed it down just a hair bit more since it was more laps. But what happened is I noticed this last week too, the playoff drivers who were kind of in the back of the field, they were struggling a little bit. Stage 3 started, they just flew. I mean, they absolutely sent it. There's 3 or 4 of them. And when they fell off and started coming back to me, they were really protecting their position really hard, and it made me have to push really, really hard to get around them. It was just bad timing, so ate up a lot of the tires just doing that alone.
Well, Blaine, still a great night for you, especially with that stage 2 victory and coming home in a top 5 finish. A lot of the similarities with this track and Darlington. How are you feeling now going into Darlington that you might be able to go in there and steal that win away from one of these playoff guys?
Yeah, I enjoy running both of these tracks. They're definitely up there if I had a tier list. But I've never thought of myself as being good at these tracks. They're not like, the 2-mile tracks that I really prefer. But we usually end up doing pretty well at both tracks. They're both extremely fun to run. I'm glad this one went caution free. That was amazing. And it ended up even making it more enjoyable. So no matter what happens next week, I think it'll be a fun time as long as the car is all in one piece.
Well, Blaine, you kept it in one piece here tonight, man. It was fun to watch you get that stage 2 victory. But before we let you get out here and go get prepared for Darlington next week, anybody want to send a shout out to?
Yeah, I want to thank Nigel. He was my teammate on the track, but now he is my spotter for all of these races, and he provides excellent information. It has helped change the outcome of my races plenty of times, which is awesome. And just shout out you guys for recording this and rebroadcasting it. That's wonderful too. But yeah, big thanks to everybody for keeping it clean tonight, and let's do it next week.
It was a pleasure to call, Blaine. Thank you so much for the great run here tonight because you put on a show for us, and we'll catch you next week at Darlington.
Thanks, guys.
All right, folks, that was your spotlight driver, the 5th place finisher here tonight in the 18. Stage 2 winner also. I mean, he had an excellent night. So shout out to Blaine Wilson there, really having a good run when it came to the Dover International Speedway. Just coming up short there in that final run down to the end. But 175 laps, green all the way through other than our 2 stage cautions. It was a great night of racing here from the Dover International Speedway, and we got to see a driver lock himself in to that Final Four. As you see the 77 of Rogers there he's the man that's going to have to be competed with to see if they can take that championship title away from him. Well, now we get our unofficial results. It's Gavin Rogers, like we said, winning that race. Steven Stippian, stage 1 winner. He'll come home second. Third is going to go to Mason Hossman. Fourth is going to be Brad Dell. Fifth is going to go to Blaine Wilson there. Sixth is going to be Adam Buzzio. Seventh is going to go to Jimmy Kubinek. Eighth, Cody Reed. Ninth is going to be Dallas Manis. And rounding out the top 10 is Richard Walsifer.
Well, Zach, looking at some of these guys here tonight, we talked about it all throughout the night, the comers and goers, and you see, looking at this, some of the guys that were finished at the front, riding at the back for a little while, started at the front, a crazy race, and some of the guys that I got to think to mention here, especially just right off the top, Alex Coffey. We talked about it during the race. He hadn't fallen back farther than second place, and just one mistake put him outside the top 10, ended up ultimately one lap down. But somebody else we talked about, Brad Dell, having that sneaky, quiet run, able to bring it home inside the top 5.
Great runs all around from them guys. Tough nights, like you said, for Coffey. Dakota Camper there with that late pit stop for him, finishing 13th, and 14th was Borbell. So some of our playoff guys finishing back there 12th, 13th, and 14th. They're going to have a little bit of a slight uphill battle heading into Darlington next week. So it's going to be fun to watch all of that. And again, thank you everybody who's coming here and checking out this upload of the race, as again we had technical issues where we could not stream the race live, so we had to upload it a day later. So again, thank you all for tuning in for that. That is anybody that's out there has watched the full race through, thank you so much for that, because we know it's sort of an inconvenience there, but we did our best to give you what we could here tonight to show you this great action that played out here at Dover in the very first race of the round of 8. And before we get out of here, Brandon, any final thoughts on what went down here tonight and what we could see heading into Darlington, where we break it down from the 8 down to the final 4 for a championship race at Kansas in 2 weeks?
Well, Zach, I thought the racing here at Dover tonight was amazing. Hot, slick track. It's what I prefer to race on. I just have so much fun racing when it's like that. And the racing we saw tonight, I feel like backs that up a ton. There were multiple grooves that these guys could, run through, and varying amount of speeds. We saw tire saving, guys throwing it to the wind. Varying strategy with some guys deciding to throw on tires late and see if they could make a run for it towards the end. And just guys really wheeling these cars. It was a lot of fun, and we're going to see it again next week at Darlington. I mean, guys that were tire saving and really good at it here tonight, you're going to see them at the front again in Darlington. With the one key thing, we saw guys hit the wall here at Dover tonight. They got away with it for the most part. You're not going to get away with it as much at Darlington. So if you struggled with catching that wall just a little bit on the exit of the corners here at Dover, you're going to have to clean that up come next week, or you're going to find yourself in a world of trouble.
I got to completely agree with you. I mean, we see multiple times, even the leaders up front, Stympian, Coffey, there's what got away from him there at the end, is he got in the wall a couple times and the car just really went away from him, and that's where his mistakes started to rear their ugly head. So, the wall is going to be very, very important at Darlington. We know how important it's going to be there. Also, keeping the aerodynamics of these cars. So it's going to be fun to watch how that all plays out heading into Darlington next week here live on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, as we'll be back here on a Wednesday night here at the Wicked Racing League for the Buttkicker Cup Series as they continue on for the round of 8 as we look to close it all out in 2 weeks at Kansas and crown ourselves a champion. Will it be Gavin Rogers? Because he's the only man we know for sure will be in it. Thank you all for tuning in to this broadcast here. It's been a pleasure, and you can catch us all throughout the next couple nights. We'll actually be live tomorrow night on Thursdays with Stars and Stripes. Hopefully everything goes good there for the internet heading into that race. And then Saturday night on the World Series of Sim Racing will be live there as they have their cutoff race for their playoffs they're heading up to. So plenty of action still to play out here at Freaky Fast Broadcast, and hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed the broadcast here, and also hit that subscribe button so you can be notified when we go live each and every time with that bell notification button. So thank you all again for watching this broadcast here tonight, brought to you by Freaky Fast Broadcasting here for the Wicked Racing League. We will catch you next time, and as I always say, stay freaky fast.